That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. Hope all is well, hope everyone's doing good. Looks like the stream quality's good. I do actually have audio this time, always important to note. Here in the office, and I'm really hoping that the video quality is really good, that the stream doesn't lag at all for you guys tonight. Looking pretty good over here. Well, until I did that. We are going to see. Am I hearing myself? I think so. No, yeah. Let me move that away from the microphone. Just gonna chill for a minute. Robert Emmett is here. Grant says hi. Shh, don't tell anyone. Robert, is my stream quality looking good? Am I not jumpy or anything? Smash Time's here. Hello as well, Smash Time. Just want to make sure my stream's good. Everyone can hear me just fine and everything before I start doing the reviews. Hope that's okay with people watching after the fact. I've had a little bit of technical difficulties that I can't really perceive. All right, Robert's telling me I'm good. I'm going to take his word for it. And if anything is wrong, it's all Robert's fault. Anyway, so I don't really have much to announce. Steve is no longer here. He was only in town till Sunday afternoon, and then he was off flying away on a plane. But we had a really fun weekend, so I've got some episodes of Geeky Gentleman to edit together and some other fun stuff to do. But it was a really good time, so it was fun having Steve here. And yeah, let's see here. Tonight we'll be discussing Batman, number 58, Doctor Strange, number 7, Adventures of the Super Sons, number 4, Sandman Universe The Dreaming, number 3, and The Green Lantern, number 1. Much anticipated series. We'll also briefly talk about a little bit of DC Nation. Always fun to get into. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I don't really see much reason to do not begin, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with Batman number 58 by Tom King with art by Mikel Janin. Man, the series, just every issue, the story deepens or the character gets really complex. And so, it's a lot. It's just a lot of stuff. So we had, spoilers by the way. So we had a whole story developing with, that's driving me nuts. We had a whole story developing with Bane and all this stuff going on. And these really dramatic moments have been coming to a head more and more and more in King's Run. We had Catwoman leave him at the altar. We had Nightwing get shot in the head. We had Bruce Wayne trying to convince the jury because Mr. Freeze was framed, it seems. And in this issue, Alfred almost dies, which is pretty damn shocking, I'd like to think. I'm going to actually skip ahead in the roster here because it's in DC Nation that we get this tease that pretty much summarizes where this story ends up. Once I find it. Damn it. Don't you hate that? Don't you just hate it? There we go. Batman's new partner, the Penguin. Yeah, that's it's pretty on point with where this issue leaves us. We open with Penguin being told that Penny is dead, who is apparently his wife. And then he attacks Batman in order to get sent to Arkham so you can talk with Bane. I like this line with Bane. My apologies, sir, that it took me as long as it did to see you. My men, unfortunately, did not inform me of your message until... Well, regardless. Here I am. That is really interesting. The message is that his wife is dead. And that's pretty twisted shit. Immediately, Penguin's able to get back out of Arkham because this is comic books. Buries his wife and is told that, and tells his men that they owe Bane a debt, and in order to pay that debt, they need to kill Bruce Wayne's manservant. So while Batman's off looking for clues regarding these murders that are similar to the Freeze case, he stumbles on Penguin, and Penguin's men are arranging the death of Alfred. And just as everything's developing, Batman is in the Penguin's office. The Penguin reveals that he is about to kill Alfred and says, "No, I think perhaps not. Instead, kill the pilot, then yourself. Now." "You got it, boss." Bang, bang. "Batman, please sit down. We have so much to discuss." So, what's going on here? I think it's pretty obvious that the Penguin knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. I feel that is, that's pretty much confirmed right now. Which is, of course, the detail that, like, everyone's going to write think pieces and articles on. It's still going to be the big clickbaity title. No interest. The interesting thing here is now that they're going to be working together, because Bane has hurt both of them. You know, you had that awesome line at the end with the KGB story where Batman said, "I'm the world's greatest detective. I'll figure out who did it, or who paid you." Seems pretty obvious who paid him now, if these other characters are attacking Batman's family members. Sure hope Damian's alright. Yeah. Just a lot is going on with that. And so, Penguin's family has been attacked, and Bruce Wayne's family has been attacked. Sorry, just to make an adjustment there. So there's a natural, you know, enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation to go to there. And it really works as just a complete oh shit moment. And I really appreciate that about it. So that's, I don't know, it's just really, really clever, really smart stuff. Most of Tom King's issues that I really, really love tend to be more character-driven and focused. And this still has a lot of that, more just in the interactions. Like this scene with Gordon is pretty emblematic of both their characters. Same with the scene with Alfred talking to Bruce over the phone and knowing exactly every word that Bruce is going to say. But also just like fun character stuff here. Like Alfred cleaning Bruce's blood off the teeth of the mechanical T-Rex because it splashed up there during his fight with Zoom. I really like that. That's really good. Yeah, just I'm enjoying that stuff. So it's most like there's still good character work here, but that's just more of like showcasing the characters. most of this issue seems to be about plot to me, about furthering the narrative, furthering the plot of the story. And I really like that about it. There is this really long poem kind of thing that's said throughout this issue. Let the bird of loudest lays on the sole Arabian tree, herald sad and trumpet be, to whose sound chaste wings obey. But thou, shrieking harbinger, foul procurer of the fiend, arguer of the fever's end, to this troop come thou not near. It's a really complicated ass poem, and its significance is a little beyond me. I'm gonna have to reread it to really get where he's going with that. It's like 4 pages of poetry, though. I don't know, that one's a little above my head at the moment. I was a little distracted while I was reading that part, unfortunately. But, I don't know, Tom King, as always, just kills it. Dynamite issues all the time. Let's see here. McPick says, Tom King is going to make you a Penguin in Batman Rogue. I don't know what you mean by that, McPick. Spanish Time says, I appreciate how much thought Tom King is putting into Batman's villains. Definitely. It's really interesting to see that that there is a lot of development in the villains as well as in the character of Batman. This is probably the most character-focused Batman run I think I've read ever. Like, a lot of things do really interesting character stuff with Batman, but tend to be more about, like, cool plot or really just leaving him in a particular place. This run gets really into his character, and because Batman is a reflection of his villains, or villains are a reflection of Batman, it's just interesting to see how they're mirrored in one another. Penguin has often been kind of Bruce Wayne's resources, a reflection in that regard. I did a whole Geeky Gentleman episode on him with Deadpoolzilla. Has been a reflection of that aspect of Batman, and it seems that this is kind of telling of that. I just noticed it's Bane in the background of the cover. I'm bad at that. It just looked like a shadow to me. It's just interesting how, you know, Penguin uses so many resources that would seem ridiculous. I mean, he tells someone to kill a helicopter pilot and himself in the helicopter. You know, and the guy just obeys. That's what? But at the same time, when you know the kinds of things the Penguin can do, of course you'd do that. So, I don't know. It seems like this is kind of leaning on Penguin's resources and leading to another confrontation with Bane. The question is, did Bane anticipate that? So, lots of cool stuff going on there. Just down here is fine. Oh wait, that reminds me. What's going on with this? DC Universe Online. Is that, like, still a game, or did they release a new version of that game? Because all I remember is the one from, like, 2008, 9? John Wonder is here. Hi. Spanish Time says, people forget that the Penguin is a very intimidating character. Yeah, they do. Philip Kelton says, well, in Batman Returns, he is the hurt kid lashing at the world with violence as a mechanism for self-defense. Not a huge fan of Batman Returns, and I think that might be an overly generous estimation of his character. Greg Sanders is here. Hi, Greg. Man, we got a active chat. And all I got to talk about now is Doctor Strange. Now, I'm kidding. We still got plenty of stuff to come. So let's go ahead and move on and talk about Doctor Strange, number 7. So I was a little worried after the last issue that this story, like, started out, you know, in space, traveling, and I was really excited for that. And And it seemed that basically ended after one arc, so I was a little disappointed. But this issue does a pretty good job. The two doctors, I forgot that's the name of the story. This issue does a pretty good job of keeping that same feel of the exploration and adventure kind of side of the story, and I'm really appreciating that, because we start off this issue in Atlantis, which I thought was really fun, and this false Doctor Strange, who's really a former not assistant, apprentice, there's the word, who's really a former apprentice and blah blah blah, backstory, gets a hold of a mystical object that can create fire underwater. And Doctor Strange is like, Casey, what have you done? Astros was a deity. His fires cannot be extinguished. I fear all they can be is contained. And like, no, Casey, don't. These people don't know what to do. They've never even seen fire. I like that. I legit like that. That's really fun. I don't know how much sense that actually makes, because Atlantis is supposed to be... I don't know much about the Marvel Universe Atlantis, but usually Atlantis is pretty far advanced in technological capabilities. So I feel like they would have seen fire, but whatever. It's just really good for that one moment right there. McPick says, I find it hilarious that Mark Waid had to finish the plot trend of his original run of his apprentice because no one would write about her. Oh, I didn't even know this was like a pre-established thing from Mark Waid's run. I thought he was just picking up someone else's pieces and running with it. It's funny. Yeah, Mark Waid does that a lot, though, where he'll lay a lot of groundwork and then just people don't give a fuck. And just want to go do their own things. He kind of suffers from being like a really good writer who just gets put on a book without necessarily getting to getting the full impact that he deserves. So, Anyway, the apprentice escapes and has been running around the whole world stealing all these super powerful mythical objects. More investigation into what he's up to, or she's up to, and yada 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 yada. Doctor Strange takes Kanan to the Forge and lets her start working on some stuff. And then we get Kanan's backstory. Or Kana's backstory. I'm not sure how to say her name. K-A-N-N-A. Kana? We get her backstory, which I quite like. And this is just the kind of inversion and fun stuff that I've been enjoying Waid doing with Doctor Strange. So, like, magical powers on Earth are a weird exception and an outlier, and they're, like, part of secret societies and stuff, and the way in which we write them. And technology is just the norm. On her world, magic is the norm. It's just the thing everybody can do and how they get through their day-to-day life. Science and technology is the exception. The use of science and technology is seen as unnatural and makes you a heretic. And so, on her world, her mother used science to manipulate electrons instead of magic, and created devices. I think a drone's a little typical, but whatever. Created devices, but because it was such a perversion, she was banished and killed by or exiled and killed by the High Council of Magicians on her planet, yada, 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 yada. So Kana hates her people and used technology and magic to get off the planet and go amongst the stars. That's a really cool origin. I really like the idea behind the character. It's fun. Waid seems to be not so subtly developing a bit of a romance between Doctor Strange and Pina, and I don't particularly mind it. It reeks a little bit of like, you know, white guy betting exotic chicks kind of thing, but at the same time, it's believable enough the way Waid sets it up. Maybe a little forced, a little shoehorned in here, but he's only one arc in, and he clearly had a different focus. The dog here says, since we're in investigating mode, how exactly would you describe the relationship between you two? A couple of healthy, lone adventurers trapped in a small starship for months at a time. And then there's like this moment where Steven takes off his shirt and is walking around, and she like kind of, whoa, look at that, and then is like, just when he turns around, she's like, oh, not paying attention to you. So I don't know, setting up a bit of a romantic connection. Don't hate it, just a thing that's going on. And I don't know, he's like, it's interesting because he's trying to establish it a bit on both sides. Not only that she's got an attraction to him, but he's legitimately interested in her as a person, and not just sexually. As a rule, I take on apprentices, students of magic that tend to dictate the terms of the relationship. You're more of a peer. I don't know, I just like that he sees in her a peer, which is something kind of rare for him, being the master magician, and she's so different and in a way kind of above him, because she approaches magic from such a different direction that it changes their dynamic. I quite like that. That is a smart way to establish some kind of attraction here. In any case, Doctor Strange figures out how to lure Casey into a snare so that he may finally have a conversation with her, but it's kind of blowing up in his face, and the dark magician who's controlling Casey arrives, and that is Baron Mordo, who I don't know who that is, if that's a significant character to Doctor Strange or even Mark Waid's original run. I don't know, just like it. Pretty fun, pretty good. It's definitely showing, you know, mastery of Doctor Strange, if nothing else. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on. Talk about The Adventures of the Super Sons, number 4. This issue was so meant to come out last week. Look, everything about this. The creepy door, the creepy hand, fucking H.P. Lovecraft tentacles. The Superman logo is even orange here. I don't know if you can tell based on that. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Anyway. So Super Son's getting the space cab to get away from the Junior Legion of Doom. It works, and they go plopping around the space-time continuum. I really like this scene, but I'm gonna give a little bit of a warning, I guess. Superboy Blue throws up ice breath. I think that's really funny. Because of all the pitching around. It's pretty good. Anyway, they end up destroying the space cab and landing on some weirdo planet after doing another hyperspace jump that takes them past Lobo and Guy Gardner, who are both equally annoyed. It's pretty funny. Neither of the Superboys are feeling that well, so they both lean on Damien as they go check out this creepy haunted house after the space cab crashes and needs repairs. So they go up the hill to this house. Damien has a great line. "Shut it. I'm having enough problems trying to figure out why a planet millions of miles from Earth has A, a breathable atmosphere, and B, a Victorian mansion." So, just fun stuff. I did like this line that the Superboys have settled their differences because they're the same kid, and one of them's sick and the other's not. And he's like, "He's sacrificing himself for me. What a hero." David's just like, "Oh God, Kent, you're such a goody two-shoes. You're inspiring yourself." Love it to death. Anyway, they get up to the house, and big shock, are pulled in when they weren't expecting it by some kind of monstrous-looking hand. Start running around the house. John is back in one piece for really no reason. I like this. This is a cool idea. I don't know if I'm giving Tomasi too much credit, or maybe this is the artist, but I thought this was a really cool idea that Damien needs a flashlight so it comes out of the Robin symbol. That's pretty neat. No lie. Anyway, they have to run around a haunted house for a whole page and a half. And then suddenly a bunch of the monsters start screaming, "No!" And then the boys go downstairs to figure out what stopped them. And this series is beginning to get to just the best possible cliffhangers every single time. As we have adult Damien and adult Jonathan still in their costumes. And also fat downstairs. And just who are you supposed to be? Huh. Did not see this coming. Next, Deus Ex Machina. I absolutely love this series. The plot is getting just bonkers, and that's really fun because it's allowing for really, really great character dynamics and interactions. And so you just got Damien and John just being themselves so much, and I'm really, really enjoying that about it. It's not really moments that are hinged on the plot. It's just allowing the characters to be around each other, and it's really refreshing. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on. Talk about the Sandman universe, The Dreaming, number 3. I like this issue. I don't want to give the impression that I didn't like this issue. I just really feel like a lack of understanding what is happening issue to issue. I can't help but feel like every book I read in this Sandman universe series is really just coasting hard on the fact that it's Sandman related, Sandman adjacent. And so they just are allowed to be a little weird and kooky and not have to bank so hard on drawing in readership, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of this stuff just is like and it's not that it's bad, it's that it's trying too hard to just be worthy of the Sandman title by telling some kind of epic story. I don't know. Just kind of leaning like that. It's just feeling really like it's meant only for trade, and that it's kind of coasting on name recognition in order to justify singles. And really, that's not much against the writers and artists working on this, because I feel like they're doing a good enough job. It's just I'm having trouble keeping all this shit in my head. Every time I read a single issue, I'm like, wait, what's going on again? And, I mean, we're only 3 issues in. That's just not a good sign for me. But it's nothing like that the writer or artist is doing wrong. It's just, you know, it's not lining up the way I would like for it to. Shadow of Batman says, I wonder if this is like Seven Soldiers of Victory, where the stories are disjointed, but when you read it together, it all works. I'm leaning toward that as well. I'm leaning toward just dropping all the Sandman books and reading them in trade. I'm just not feeling it, is all it's coming down to. It's not working for me week to week, month to month. And that's disappointing, because I certainly like the idea of doing Sandman books, but just as I'm reading it, it's like, it's not working in the issues. I'm not enjoying myself, even though I think the writing is technically good, or certainly interesting, if nothing else. Let's see here. Is this Sam Dam universe still worth investing yourself in, or is it just sort of cash grab for a Watchmen style thing? See, I don't feel like it's a cash grab. I feel like these writers and artists are legitimately trying to tell compelling and interesting stories. I just think that they're really coasting on the name and trying their best to tell stories that are going to work in trade, as opposed to try to grab you issue to issue. Because say what you will about Gaiman's stuff, you know, that it's genius and everything, but it did work in isolation. There are great single issue stories. Robert Emmett says, I mean, I haven't read past the first volume of Sandman anyway, so I was going to wait until I finished the original and then get it in trade anyway. Yeah, the original Sandman run is... I mean, nothing's going to compare to the original Sandman, and part of me really wishes they'd left Daniel Sandman in this series, but I completely understand why you wouldn't, because it's going to be impossible to write him and not invite comparisons to literally the best comic book run ever. So, like, the idea of we want to do Sandman-related stuff, Sandman-adjacent stuff, but we don't want to have to constantly measure up to fucking Neil Gaiman of all things. I get it. It makes sense. So, yeah. I've given up, long since given up on the idea of trying to describe the plot of anything Sandman related. I will say I quite like a lot of the art that's done here, because the art here is just absolutely fantastic. Shadow Batman says, didn't Gaiman write the first issue? Gaiman plotted the Sandman universe launching book, and that like kind of introduces the premise of each of the series, and so Gaiman took Daniel out himself, it would seem, as a suggestion for where these books should go. I don't know if he plotted much beyond that, or if he just kind of like wanted to spin the wheel and send these writers off that he trusts with the property. I don't know. Like I said, I'll give most of these probably another shot in trade, but I'm just really not feeling it week to week. And, you know, as comics get more expensive, I have to get more definitive on, all right, I'm not getting into this. I have to drop it. Robert Emmons says, oh, I still find it bold that you keep calling it the best thing ever, because I still take claims like that with a pinch of salt or sand, if you will. Ha. No, literally, I cannot exaggerate the greatness of Sandman. The original 75 issues of Sandman are literally perfect. There's no better story. We could just quit writing comic books after that. We could just quit writing after that, to be dead honest with you. So, take that how you will. Like, I love Morrison, I love Tom King. They're not necessary after Sandman. I want to see what the reply to that is before I go on to the next issue. Are literally perfect, you might say. Ha. News headlines. Sandman so good that writing stops. Shout out Batman says, Tom King on Sandman? No! I don't have enough emotions for that. Philip Kelton says, you wouldn't still be reading comics if that were true. I mean, I didn't say that, like, it ends comics. I'm just saying we could have stopped. We didn't have to keep writing. We could have just, like, okay, yep, we could all acknowledge that this is the best thing ever. We just don't have to write anymore. And everyone would pretty much agree. I've yet to meet the person who hates Sandman, and if someone comes up to me and is like, I'm a person and I hate Sandman, I'd be like, you're not a fucking person. You don't have a soul. Robert Emmett says, King is writing more books than I can afford as is. Yeah, no one has the emotions for Tom King on Sandman. No one does. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on. This is probably the clicker that got everyone interested. The Green Lantern #1, written by Grant Morrison with art by Liam Sharp. I am certainly guilty of this a lot of the times with different writers on comics, because I am much more a story guy when I read comics than I am an art guy. But I keep seeing stuff like this. Grant Morrison's The Green Lantern #1 on, like, the cover of DC Nation, and other people talking about, oh, Morrison's on Green Lantern. I love Grant Morrison. I have so much admiration for Grant Morrison as a writer. Liam Sharp is doing so much work on this book that it should be double billed, period. There should be no one saying Morrison's writing Green Lantern. It should be Morrison and Sharp are on Green Lantern, and that should just be the way we talk about it. The amount of, like, detail and beauty, like, it's a cliche to talk about Liam Sharp's detail work in art. The amount of thought that is put into these issues, or the art in this issue, is just jaw-dropping. There's so much going on with the framing and the characters and stuff. I love the way this page turn works, and the way that the layout looks. So I want to talk about this first and foremost because I'm terrible at about talking about art in comics, but I want to make sure I get into this. This page works so well because you, as a trained eye in the comic reading community, you turn the page and you immediately go up here to the jet. And you look across and you see that, and you see the mountain range. And out of the periphery of your eye, you see this down here. And so when you're looking up here, you just see in the mountain range. Then you look down and you realize it's Hal Jordan's face looking up at the sky. And if there is not a more perfect representation of Hal Jordan than that, constantly still looking to the sky. I don't know what is, but also the fact that it just blends so perfectly and works so well to really blow you away. And then you like look at it and go, how could I not have noticed it instantly? Is just a real testament to the mastery that Sharp has in his art. Like the way that Hal Jordan's face is so beautifully rendered here, but it blends in perfectly to the story beat is a real testament to Sharp is not just a heavily detailed artist. He's an artist that knows what he's doing in the medium, and that's really awesome. So I just want to make sure to mention that before I go on about this book too long and forget to talk about the amazing art, because it's just all over it. It is absolutely gorgeous. We've been releasing about... I feel like I've read this comic 16 times because I just can't stop staring at all the previews that were released from it. Like, it's gotten basically 2 issues of DC's magazine now that they've just been hyping this shit up. All like selling it on Morrison's name, but sealing the deal with these fantastic previews of Sharp's art. And just, God, so many of these are these are going to be like the iconic panels for years. These are going to be the kinds of things that are shown of Hal Jordan, which is so refreshing right now as a Green Lantern fan who's also, you know, not a shit person. It's really refreshing to have some fantastic Green Lantern work that I can look at and go, oh God, that's beautiful, I want it on a wall, and also not be like, oh, but it was written by a fucking prick, or it was drawn by a fucking prick. And again, DC is really selling this book a lot of the strength of Sharp's art, because look at that. Oh God, this is just free. Yeah, that's going up here somewhere. Got some wall space right there, but I think it might look a little weird and puny. But yeah, this going somewhere in here. Robert Emmett says, question Ian, Liam Sharp or Mitch Gerard's? I gotta be honest, like, I really like Mitch Gerard's art, but it's definitely not like a style that I am predisposed to. Like, I like his style, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not something that I'm like, oh yeah, that's my kind of art style. When it comes to comic book art, I like things that are either really, really trippy, like Dave McKean, or really, really heavily detailed. So Liam Sharp is right up there. I did comic review episodes on his series one, Batman, Wonder Woman, Brave and the Bold, that 6-issue series, and I could gush about his art all day. It's just so good. But yeah, like, oh my God, I'm already seeing all the just gorgeous imagery, and yeah, this is gonna be stuff you see for years, folks. It just looks so classic too. I love it. And then there's just, like, speaking of highly detailed and weird and trippy, why not both? That's cool as shit. I really like that. Mogo gets a shout out. That was pretty awesome. Mogo in the Eye of a Guardian is fucking epic as hell. Just really, really dig that shit. Yeah, absolutely jaw-dropping art in here. Not only because of the intense detail, but also because of just the way in which it's crafted and built, and it really does take you through a story. This section right here with the Guardians talking, I really, really love. And hey, look, Rotlop fan. Yay. Oh, man. It's really cool shit. Okay. So, story-wise, what happened? Hal Jordan got put on a case. Morrison pitched this series as, okay, we're going to kind of go back to basics with Green Lantern. There's going to be, like, not like there's not going to be scale and epicness. It's a space cop. It's got to be epic in scale. But it's not going to be universe ending. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all of all universes. There can still be threats on a universal level, but they're going to be handled in such a way that's like, yeah, that's just what the Green Lantern Corps does. Because, like, Superman saves the universe every other month, not just the world, right? So, like, that's just part of a Green Lantern's job. So that's the premise. And Hal Jordan gets called to New Oa and put on a case. And that's really cool. But that's not the majority of the issue. We get pretty good ways into the issue before Hal Jordan even shows up. And we just get really cool Green Lantern stuff. Like this guy who's working with his sector partner, another sentient virus called Floozy Phlegm, who is a sentient virus. My partner, Green Lantern Floozy Phlegm, is a super intelligent all-purpose virus replicating in your blue bloodstream as we speak. Floozy Phlegm doesn't catch you, you catch Floozy Phlegm. And then, like, this spider pirate thing starts just sneezing and vomiting and getting diarrhea. I can vaccinate you against the emerald flu if you'd like. I can end the vomiting. I can stop the diarrhea. And so it's just like, just immediately, completely shuts this guy down. That's pretty fucking gross. Oh. I really like that. Anyway, so yeah, the criminals are caught, or so it would seem, until they escape and crash land on Earth, in which case Hal Jordan now has to deal with them. And Shadow Batman says, I love how Morrison's Hal isn't a moron like some writers depict him. Even Johns at times would do that. But Morrison writes him as a great space cop, but makes a lot of mistakes, or a smart space cop. One of the things I love about Hal Jordan is he's a fucking blockhead, but at the same time, to what degree he is important. But I do agree, I think some people kind of take that too far. But Hal Jordan's just good at his job. He's good at figuring out what to do without necessarily having a plan. He just kind of goes as he gets at it. But he is smart enough to realize who he's dealing with. And so there's a great scene here where he's being attacked by an alien who's disguised itself as a couple of humans. And he mentions that they're these cluster beings. You're a colony creature. You're all one thing. All I got to do is locate what passes for your brain and punch it. And that kind of ends it. I like that. That is Hal Jordan thinking through what he's doing without necessarily coming off like some kind of super genius. He's like, oh, no, I've dealt with these fuckers before. Just got to punch them in the right spot. I really like that. Hal Jordan, of course, always instantly likable. Super fun. Taking on these guys. This is really cool. As he shows up, he's just so understated and does this shit with such ease. I love that crap. So, you got demands? I mean, now we're all here. Tell him we need star web access, a spaceship, safe passage off this planet, and limes. Lots of limes. Spaceship, huh? I'm warning you, don't come any closer. See this? Yeah, you got big, but not so smart. You're a Megathorpe accustomed to a much lighter gravity. So what if I get even bigger? Then what will you do? Laugh my ass off, probably. One more step at that size and your body weight puts so much strain on your thigh bone it shatters painfully. I like that. Oh. I like that shit. That's really good that he's just like, yeah, I've been doing this for so long. I know what I'm doing. Like, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, go ahead. Become a giant on a planet that has higher gravity than you're used to. We'll see how that turns out. I like that. It's like, it's not like he's a genius, but he's also just aware of what to do. So that's pretty. It's a fresher take for Hal. I do think Hal being kind of think on his feet and oh, what's the word? And not really the type 2 plan ahead at all gets turned into, oh, well, Hal's just a complete idiot who lucks into everything. And that's not it. So I think Morrison's going for a more knowledgeable Hal Jordan, which is pretty good. And then just, yeah. So he goes back to New Oa and talks to one of the Guardians, new Guardians, and is told that the Book of Oa can no longer be trusted because someone's been making alterations to it, and so they have to be, we must rely upon that which is certain. We are the guardians of the universe. We are the guardians of the universe. We are the law. From the great attractor at the heart of all things, we overlook all that is. We aspire to mercy, strength, and wisdom. We ask of our operatives the ability to withstand great fear and the strength to fight to the death for what is understood to be right. We search the stars for individuals who embody the highest attributes and recruit them to our cause. From the lightless obsidian deeps of the supervoids to the shattered source wall that separates our material universe from sublime and non-dual omniawareness. The fuck does that mean, Grant Morrison? In our service, there are X-ray lanterns, radio lanterns, gamma lanterns, microwave lanterns. The reach of our peacekeeping force extends across all scales and wavelengths. From the nanoscopic to the unspeakably immense, we have chained demons, banished death, conquered fear. We have welcomed all sentient life into our core. But one of our lanterns seeks to destroy us. A traitor within our ranks will shortly be uncovered. We already know who it will be. Now, do you understand, Hal Jordan? Let's you and I talk, shall we? So, Hal Jordan's being put on the case to figure out who will betray the Green Lantern Corps. And that's going to be the narrative of the season, as it were. Which is interesting that Hal's being put on this because it's not Morrison who created them, right? I feel like, I can't remember if Morrison created the Alpha Corps or if he was just one of the few to use them for something. But there was the Alpha Lantern Corps who's intended to be like internal affairs for Green Lantern. And I wasn't sure if that was him just stepping in for a little bit there, or kind of related to the whole Final Crisis thing, or if he just used them in that. Let's see here. What's going on in the comments? So a question, is the Green Lantern imposing their own version of justice onto the universe? Yes. That's actually one of the things I really like about Green Lantern is you don't necessarily have like the Prime Directive or something like that in Star Trek. There's certainly not the way that we think of the Prime Directive in Star Trek. Like issue 1 of Green Lantern, he goes to just save some planet of essentially cavemen from a world-ending threat. He just saves them, and it's no big deal that he's a spaceman and meddling in the affairs. No, it's just people needed help. But that doesn't mean that anyone who just thinks they're right can go around doing whatever the fuck they want with a Green Lantern ring. And that's where we have Sinestro. Sinestro, or the Green Lantern rings used to be programmed so that so long as the wielder knew that what they were doing was right, the ring would work for them. But they couldn't do something like kill, because killing is just wrong. Until you get to Sinestro, who truly believed in everything he was doing. He had the conviction of a fascist, and that revealed a hole in the ring's programming. So that doesn't work anymore, and the rings are given some criteria in who they choose, in that they have to pass a kind of a moral test under Mogo's supervision. That is done before the ring even selects them. A week as a GL, Guy Gardner was unaware that species genitalia was located on their forearms, so we had a sexual harassment seminar. Kilowog messed up the lunch order, and we stopped 5 apocalypses. Yeah, that's just what you do. John's Howell, at his best, while might not be the smartest guy, but he had emotional intelligence and proved how someone like him surpasses Sinestro. Yeah. So someone can just alter the Book of Oa unnoticed for ages at a time, more like the wiki of Oa. Microwave lanterns heating your burritos even in the cold depths of space. Very useful power. I thought Johns created the Alpha Corps after the Sinestro Corps War. That video you made on Star Trek vs. Green Lantern is really good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm stretching to remember who created the Alpha Lantern Corps. I know Morrison played with them for a minute or two, though. I don't remember who created them. It was brief. It wasn't like he did a Green Lantern run, but he got to use them in a story. So yeah, Hal Jordan's on the case, and it looks like each issue is going to kind of be a standalone Green Lantern fights some bad guys kind of thing that gets us deeper into the case. And then we get like a preview of coming soon. So, I don't know. I'm excited for the Green Lantern Green Arrow issue. In this day and age, that's fantastic. Gorgeous stuff. Like, anyone else feeling like Kirby Crackle in the 21st century? Shit. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to the last thing we got to talk about, which is just a little bit of DC Nation. I thought this was really cool. Apparently there's a Batman Who Laughs series. No thanks. This is a gorgeous-ass page. I like these like breakdowns of a page thing. This is a gorgeous-ass page to do it with. Found that really cool. We also got an 8-page, the first 8, or some of the pages of The Green Lantern with annotations by Liam Sharp and Grant Morrison. So that's really cool. Liam Sharp admits that he is a big fan of H.R. Geiger, and so anytime he draws alien environments or technology, he can't help but throw a little Geiger influence in there. That's really cool. Morrison mentions some some stuff that inspired things like this alien monster rampaging scene happens in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he mentions some stuff about the town. So just cool, fun stuff. Really neat to get that level of insight into the things. The only other thing I read in here was this profile of G. Willow Wilson and kind of, you know, some history on her career, which I didn't really know much about. The only thing I know her from really is Miss Marvel, and I don't even read that. Miss Marvel on Twitter. So it's just kind of cool to see like where she's been, what she's done, all that kind of stuff. And then there's like a little bit of a interview that she did where she's talking about Wonder Woman that kind of ends this. It's a challenge to find something new to say about a character who has been around for 75 years, yet still be faithful to existing continuity, she explains. I think that's why it's tempting to reinvent the wheel with each new relaunch, new origin, new backstory, the whole 9 yards. That isn't what artist Carrie Nord and I are doing. We're jumping straight into the existing timeline, which is much trickier to pull off in an interesting way. Thank God. Wonder Woman, all we ever do is the origin. It's just like the Spider-Man of DC. So that's really exciting. Just a cool little thing. I also saw this by Yannick Paquette. I didn't read the whole thing because I just ran out of time, but this is just a neat little breakdown where Paquette talks about techniques in drawing shadows. So to all the artists out there reading comics and wanting to know how to draw comics, I thought this was pretty cool. There's also a short little piece in here about Stephen Orlando and his process of breaking into comics as a writer. And so that was really cool. So they're giving a lot of tools here. Between that and like the page breakdown and this, you're giving them quite a bit of tools here for the aspiring creators to learn how to get into comics without like the typical, let me just send you my pitch for this book kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Some stuff with Jeff Johns I didn't read. Interested to see where other things go here. Previews of coming attractions. Kelly Sue DeConnick on Aquaman is piquing my curiosity. Not entirely sure if I'm going to read more than an issue, but she is definitely grabbing my interest. Freedom Fighters #1 gets points for a ballsy-ass cover. I'm getting to that one. Otherwise, not much else. Just things developing. Martian Manhunter #1, written by Joshua Williamson, sounds kind of interesting. It's only a 12-issue series, so that might be worth picking up. Yeah, not much else in this. It was fun. I like these DC Nation books. They're pretty fun. Let's see what's going on in the comments. I feel that there's something morally off about the Green Lantern's Corps, but I'm not quite sure I can put it into words. Like, let's say Death Note's rulebook. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're getting at. If I get a microwave landing ring and keep it in my pocket, will I become sterile? Yes. Does the Green Lantern have an official rulebook like Death Note's rulebook? No. There's a couple rules and guidelines and regulations, but they pretty much get broken every week by Hal Jordan, so take that how you will. Smash Time's definitely feeling the Kirby 21st century, yeah. Robert Emmett says, I actually talked about Kirby today with a very interesting gentleman at the comic store. Oh, that's cool. Robert Emmett says, fun fact, it was called HR because that's where he spent most of his time at work for drawing penises. Penises everywhere. Oh, that's funny. So with Liam Sharp, can we not pretend that the other guy never happened? Probably not. That's probably just going to be there, and it's unfortunate. All right. I think that's going to do it. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. I'm excited for this. I'm really liking my store, giving all these freebies away. This was really, really cool to get at just as a one-off. I'm going to have to, one day, if I ever run into Liam Sharp, I'm going to have him like sign this or something for me, because that's awesome. Oh, man. All right. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, bye.